Daad is not just a unique letter in Arabic, but it also has one-of-a-kind feature or sifah, making it one of the more challenging letters to produce. If you are struggling with this letter, then with these 7 steps in this lesson, you can master Daad and its unique feature, istitaalah, inshallah. To properly tackle this letter, we'll first need to understand why Daad is such a problem for many learners, Arabs and non-Arabs. Once we establish that, we can then solve and address each element. After that, we'll take this solution and turn it into a plan that anyone can follow to achieve the goal, inshallah. So what makes Daad such a difficult letter to pronounce? First, the makhraj or the articulation point of Daad is so unique that it is exclusively used for this letter and not any other. This is the makhraj of Daad. So the side edges of the tongue are only used in the case of Daad and not any other letter. In contrast, every other articulation organ is used one way or another to pronounce many different letters. So why is this comparison important? Well, this means that this particular part of the muscle is not used at all except by this letter. What makes this even worse is that the letter Daad is one of the least frequently used letters in Arabic. In fact, it is used in less than 0.5% of all Arabic words, in comparison to lam, for example, which is found in 14% of Arabic words. Even in the Quran, it is among the least frequently used letters with about 1,600 instances, in comparison to letters like waw, for example, which is used more than 25,000 times. Added to that, Daad has one-of-a-kind feature or sifah, which is istitaalah, and this feature is not found in any other letter. So, in short, Daad is a letter that is very unique with its articulation point, a one-of-a-kind feature, and quite a rare letter in Arabic. So as a result, you are not used to using this letter. The muscles involved in it become less trained and less active. And this only applies on Daad rather than any other letter, which is why this letter is such a problem for many learners. So, how can we get over these problems? To overcome these difficulties, we need to train the inactive muscle related to Daad, understand its unique feature or sifah, frequently practice this letter to make up for its rare use. And to be able to apply this solution effectively, we'll follow these 7 steps. It is very important that you do not go from one step to the next unless you have fully processed and mastered the step before. So let's start with step 1, reviving the muscle. Just like when you work out, if a muscle has not been active lately, you first need to wake it up before you get into lifting heavier weights. Now, we'll achieve this by pronouncing Daad with fatha. Da, da, da. Repeat this as many times as you can, preferably for several consecutive days if you are still a beginner. And each session of practice, you pronounce Da 40, 50, or even 60 times in a training session. But be careful. Here is what it must not sound like. Da, da, da. But make sure that it sounds like this. Da, da, da. If you're not 100% sure of the placement of the tongue or the technique, follow this short tutorial. So how do I know if I'm ready for the next step? Well, the important thing is to keep practicing this sound till you can produce it without a lot of effort or deliberation. Don't be hasty to move on. This is the foundation of the correct pronunciation. Step 2. Applying istitaalah. Istitaalah is a feature or sifah, which means that the tongue extends when pronouncing Daad. And this is achieved by practicing Daad with sukun. Al, al, al. To do this properly, notice that the sound moves from the inside to the outside. In other words, the deeper parts of the tongue make contact first, then gradually the rest of the tongue. This is the motion of istitaalah, making the tongue extend to cover all the contact area gradually from the inner parts to the outer parts of the tongue. Al, al, al. Here is another demonstration from a different angle. The hand above is the roof of the mouth, and the lower one is your tongue. This is how the contact takes place inside the mouth. Notice how the deeper parts of the tongue makes contact first, and then the rest of the tongue gradually makes contact with the roof of the mouth. Focus on repeating this motion because this is really the key feature of Daad. Step 3. Applying rakhawa. Rakhawa is the continuation of the sound of Daad. If you properly followed steps 1 and 2, then this will be like a checkpoint to see if you really are on the right track or not. If not, go back and practice more. If yes, then in this exercise, we'll try to elongate the sound of Daad with sukun. The correct sound of Daad should be extendable, even if you start with half a second. Al, al, al. This exercise will target how much pressure you should apply on the contact areas. Too much pressure will make it impossible to extend. Ad, ad. Too little pressure will give you a sound like dha. Al, al. Now, the proper Daad is somewhere in between. Al, 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 al. So keep practicing and aiming for extending the sound of Daad for as long as you can. Naturally, this is just for practicing's sake. We don't normally extend Daad like this when we pronounce it in words. Step 4. The second variation of Daad. The next variation you should learn is Daad with Dhamma. Du, du, du. These sets of exercises are put in an order from the easiest to the more difficult. So it is important to apply what we've learned so far and to stick to the given order in order to progress gradually and correctly. Step 5. Daad with kasra. Practice this as many as you need. Di, di, di. Remember, we have not practiced with any words yet. Without a lot of practice, adding sounds before or after Daad might be a bit problematic at this point and may cause you to split the word into two to enable you to properly pronounce Daad. But if you practice long enough and follow the steps correctly, adding different sounds before or after Daad will work seamlessly, inshallah. Step 6. Practicing Daad with shadda. In this step, we'll practice Daad with shadda with the 3 different variations. Al-da, al-du, al-di. Just practice the sound. No words yet, till you get the hang of it fully. Last step, step 7. Practicing Daad in context or within words. So it is in the middle of the speech. فضل أفضتم لبعض شأنهم الذي أنقض ظهرك. And do not certainly forget to practice with words that end with Daad as well. المحيض الأرض. So with these 7 steps, you will, insha'Allah, master the sound of Daad. The important thing is that you should not expect to go through all of these steps within a single day. Give yourself and your muscles the time to adjust and train properly in order to create a muscle memory that you can easily recall when pronouncing the letter without needing to think about it. Finally, always remember that even if you can't get it right the first time, that you are rewarded for every bit of effort you put into perfecting your Quran recitation. So we try to the best of our abilities, and Allah will forgive our shortcomings, insha'Allah. Thanks for watching. If you want to start learning the tajweed, then start with this playlist. And also, don't forget to check my latest book about tajweed and download the companion app. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.